You're listening to the Houses and Spouses podcast with Ryan Hamilton, where real estate meets real love. From closing deals to saying vows, this is the place where homes, relationships, and real-life stories come together. Let's get into it.
All right, welcome back to the Houses and Spouses podcast with Ryan Hamilton. I am Ryan Hamilton. It's just me today, rolling solo. And before we jump in, it wouldn't be the Houses and Spouses podcast if we didn't kick things off with a dad joke. So today we're talking goals, we're talking New Year's resolutions. So my question for you is, why do New Year's resolutions go in one year and out the other? I don't know if they're going to get better than that as we get going. So you've been warned. I'm really sorry about that. So today, though, I do want to talk about goals, end of year energy, New Year energy, all that good stuff, but in a real practical kind of doable way. There's not going to be any massive life overhaul. You're not going to get like a 47-step process to change your life. These are just a couple of ideas that I've used in my life over the last, 20 plus years that have helped me. And before we start this, though, when I do these solo episodes, I'm going to try and keep it simple. I will almost always focus on three main ideas, and that's not because 3 is some magic number. It's because it seems like 3 is digestible, right? And so whenever I listen to podcasts or read books or anything like that, if I can take away 3 things from that experience and use it, 3 nuggets, fantastic. If I can take 1, it's worth my time. So I'm hoping that you can take 1, 2, maybe 3 ideas from a short 10-minute episode that we're going to be doing. So talking goals, talking about goal setting, goal planning, I'm going to talk to you about 3 main ideas: writing it down, writing your goals down, tracking your goals, and then sharing your goals. So first, writing it down. There's something about putting a goal on paper that kind of makes it real. So when it's floating around in your head, it's more kind of like a wish. And then when you get it written down on paper or type it up on your computer, it becomes more of a commitment. And for me, that's kind of how this current journey started for me. I have a goal of running a half marathon on January 18th, 2026. And that date has been written down since I decided that was going to be a goal. That goal has been pasted on in my bathroom. It's very visible to me. I see it every single day. I cannot hide from it. I'm brushing my teeth and I'm seeing this. I'm also a big believer in actually writing things down by hand or typing them up, printing them out versus keeping everything that you have down. You know, you can type up on your notes app on your iPhone, but I believe that, and in my experience has been getting it out and getting like a physical piece of paper somewhere where you can see what your goal is has helped me. And it's visual. It's there. You cannot run from it. You cannot hide from it. I use my notes app all the time, but if you're trying to find your goals and you have to, scroll through your phone and everything. So that's the first main idea is write it down, get whatever goal that you have, whatever you want to accomplish, whether it's in 2026 or right now, just get it out on paper. Now, the second thing is tracking your goals. And this is where the book Atomic Habits really comes into play for me. James Clear, the author, says, "You do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems." And for me, tracking is the system, right? So I have all my planned workouts printed out and I manually check them off when I'm done. There's something really satisfying about physically marking it off complete. I'm a guy that loves those to-do lists, where you get to, cross them off and you can kind of visually see the progress. I know there's a lot of you out there like that. On top of that, I also update my ChatGPT project for my training. I pay for the $20 a month paid version of ChatGPT. I use it for a lot of things. There'll probably be a future episode on that. But I update my ChatGPT with my run data, my pace, mileage, kind of how I felt, maybe what I ate the night before or the day of or whatever. And that reflection piece has been big for me because I can look back and see the progression that I'm making towards my goal. And then for my daily, habit trackers, I also use Grit, which is a daily habit tracker, GRIT. I'll link it up in the show notes on my iPhone. And that's just to track, hey, make sure I take my supplements every day. Make sure I'm tracking my protein, whatever the case is there. But I know there's people out there that prefer to track things with pen and paper. And I'm going to have Chantel put that up here now. I've got a manual habit tracker available that we'll put in the show notes. It'll be there. Very easy to use. Either way, track. Seeing progress makes a goal feel real, and it's going to turn your intention into momentum, and all of a sudden you're going to have a string that you're not going to want to break, right? Oh my gosh, I've met my workout goals for 3 weeks in a row. I got to make it this week. I got to reach my steps goal. I got to reach my goal of reaching out to potential leads. Whatever that case is, if you track it, you're going to be more likely to hit it. So we talked about writing it down, and we talked about tracking. Now let's talk about the third thing. The third idea is to share it. And sharing your goals kind of creates accountability. It brings them out of your head and into the real world, into your world and the people around you. So I didn't tell many people about the half marathon at first. I told my wife. She had said, "You're crazy." I wanted to do a couple of runs too to make sure that I could physically do it and not die. Found out I could do it still. Haven't run for a long time. So once I did that and I knew I could probably get there, I paid for the registration. And then that for me was another layer of accountability. And then once I paid for that registration, it'll be the Rock and Roll Half Marathon in Tempe on January 18th. Used to be the PF Chang's one. I don't think PF Chang's sponsors it anymore. Once I did that, though, I told my family. Now I've got multiple levels of accountability and multiple levels of skin in the game, okay? I know now, because people know, that I will not back out. I will crawl my ass across that finish line before I quit, and barring some crazy injury. So backing out now really isn't an option. And honestly, sharing this goal on this podcast is also another layer of accountability. By the time we drop this episode, I'll be about 3 weeks away from race day. Now it's public. Now I cannot back out. I will follow through. I guarantee that. And so that's the power of sharing it with the people in your life, right? And so we've talked about writing it down, writing your goals down. We've talked about tracking your goals, and we've talked about sharing your goals. All three things that I've done in my life plenty of times over. And it all sort of ties into one of my favorite quotes from John Maxwell. And it's, "You will never change your life until you change something that you do daily." And for me, I can tell you that my experience has been that changes in life don't come in one big dramatic fashion normally, unless they're the big ones, a death in the family or, a marriage or something like that. For me, it's been changes in the small, consistent actions, like writing it down and tracking it and sharing it. It's the unglamorous stuff. It's the compounding effect. It's about making a good choice on Monday and then Tuesday, and then all of a sudden Wednesday gets there and you're like, well, I can't break this streak now. I've hit all my workouts this week, or I've hit my calorie goals, or I've hit my walking goals, or I've done the lead generation, or whatever your goal is and whatever target area you're looking at. It's the little steps, the compounding effect. And that's where I see the big change. So I also want to make a point to mention this, and Chantel, can you put this on the screen? I send out this goal planning worksheet. I'm sending it out this year to my clients as a physical mailer. And if you're watching, you're seeing it on the screen right now. I'll have it as a download in the show notes. And if you're listening and you don't receive our monthly mailer or our e-blast, let me know. We don't share your information, but it's a good way for us to share resources and information about the real estate market and fun, giveaways and that kind of stuff. But this is just a simple way for you to get your goals on paper, put it on your fridge, put it on your mirror. Just start the process of thinking about what your goals might be. And you can be as vague or as specific as you want. I would say that the more specific you are, and the more ways that you can track success, I think that you have a higher likelihood of being successful. But this is just to start the conversation, okay? I am not perfect at this. I've failed at more goals than I've succeeded at, but simply setting goals has helped me do things that I never thought I'd be able to do. And that's also why I love breaking these solo episodes into 3 ideas. You don't need a massive plan. You just need a couple of actionable items that you can do and implement to make change start to happen. And it's not going to happen overnight, right? So for me, some of my goals for this year, just to kind of share those, obviously running a half marathon's coming up here. I want to continue to build this podcast and kind of see where that leads me. Later this year, I've got a goal to run a Spartan sprint race with my sons, Elliot and Brady. Gage is a little too young at this point. And again, Lindsay said we're crazy. Professionally, I have a goal to close 30 real estate transactions in 2026, and I need your help with that. So if you have anyone in your life, whether it's you or your family or coworkers or friends that want to buy, sell, or invest in real estate in 2026, let me know. I'd love to be part of that. And I guess to kind of close, I would say this. You don't need to wait until January 1st. We're dropping this episode the last week of December, last week of the year. You don't have to wait till January 1st. You don't have to wait till Monday. You don't have to wait till your next birthday. You don't have to wait until, whatever magic age you think, or you're also not past that age. I can tell you that as well. It's never too late to start the progress of bettering some aspect of your life. Just start. There's no secret process here. There's no magic bullet here. You just start. You start small. You start imperfect. You mess up. You start again, but you just start. That's it for today. Reminder, episode 1 with Tori Gannon is live now. Go listen if you haven't yet. And if real estate is part of your goals for 2026, let's talk. Thanks for hanging out with me. This has been the Houses and Spouses podcast with Ryan Hamilton. I will see you at the next one. Peace.
This has been the Houses and Spouses podcast with Ryan Hamilton. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe and share this episode with someone who needs it. For real estate help or a wedding ceremony crafted with care, connect with Ryan online.